This is the first ever real-life image of God's hand, and what's crazy is that we just captured this in 2024. In January of 2024, a 28-year-old Amanda Foster was sitting in the OBGYN clinic waiting to receive some of the most devastating news that a mother can hear. You see, this was Amanda's 4th pregnancy, and there was always something going wrong. At first, she lost her baby when she was just 17 years old to something called Potter syndrome. And in case you don't know about Potter syndrome, this is a genetic terminal diagnosis that is almost linked to males. Basically meaning that Amanda would never be able to have a healthy baby boy. But there was one thing about Amanda that you need to know. Her faith was very admirable, and her love for being a mother was almost supernatural. So as she was sitting down at that clinic, knowing that just something was intensely wrong with her child, she kneels down in prayer and just repeats the words, "Lord, please keep your hand on my child." She waits for a few minutes, and sure enough, the OBGYN, the doctor, walks in through the door, looks her dead in the eyes, and she says, "I'm afraid we don't have good news. We're seeing a possible aortic septum abnormality, which is a congenital heart defect that can also be fatal." A few months go by, and luckily Amanda hasn't had any difficulties. So she goes in for another routine checkup. This time, before she even goes, she kneels down in prayer and repeats the same words again. "Lord, please keep your hand on my baby." So she walks into the clinic and they get her ready for the ultrasound. She lies flat on the table as they pour this cold, translucent gel on her belly. You can hear the squelching of the gel as they press down the probe and they start looking for that baby. And soon enough, they would see images of this baby on the screen. Now, everything looked perfectly fine. In fact, the doctor was really enthusiastic, talking about how healthy the heartbeat sounds, and all of a sudden, the doctor goes completely silent. And before Amanda can notice anything, her daughter, who was around 6 years old at the time, simply points at the screen and her skin goes pale. As her eyes start to swell with tear, she just looks at her mommy and she says, "Mommy, whose hand is that on my baby brother?" Amanda looks at the screen, she looks at the doctor, and she just asks the doctor, like, "What is that on the screen?" The doctor looks at her in the eye and she says, "It seems like someone has been keeping their hand on your child." And what I'm about to show you is a very real picture of what they were seeing in that clinic on that exact moment. The moment where God's hand was gently being kept on her son's forehead. On top of being able to capture this image, when the doctors went to check the congenital heart defect from the son, it was nowhere to be found. In fact, it had healed so well that it looked like it was never even there in the first place. Something that the doctors still can't fully understand. You see, if this story tells us anything, is that God is with us every day. And when you actually give him the time, the space, the faith, he will perform miracles in your life. The type of faith that Amanda had is the kind of faith that comes through discipline, that comes through devotion. Something that, according to the Bible in Mark 11:24, can be achieved through consistent prayer and faith, which means developing a habit of consistent prayer, of surrender, of making space for God.